incorporation of circular economy approaches in reaching carbon neutrality. So this topic is somewhat related to what the first topic that you had yesterday, and then so myself, as introduced by Dinesh sir, I am part of civil engineering department, and then right now I am heading the department. So with this brief introduction, I will be moving ahead with the topic. So as the participants now, after having the 3 sessions, so you would be knowing the importance of uh, the climate change, as well as the importance or otherwise the need to capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So in this regard, so I have not mentioned carbon dioxide as a direct thing, but I have just mentioned carbon as a thing, and then how are we going to approach it? So that around that I will be delivering my lecture, and then I have structured in such a way that I will be touching some of the aspects of circular economy. So how this can yield better results, or otherwise how this can take care of what that has been done in the past, and then how that we can able to think now and then act for the future as well. So and then how to incorporate it. So incorporation is one such thing. So that also states that this concept is emerging, and then it is being the need of the hour with respect to not only with respect to this carbon neutrality, but with respect to any aspects when it comes to dealing the natural resources, or otherwise when we take the natural resources from the environment. So this is one such hot topic that is getting quite good attention even from the countries, and then the agencies, the NGOs, and then to power plants or hydroelectric projects and everything. So with this, I'll be moving on. So for the initial slides, I think I will not go into the every aspect. The knowledge that you had with respect to the session one, I will be skipping some things, and then with respect to the knowledge that you have gained from the session of today's, I'll be highlighting some of the aspects. I will not be going much in depth with respect to the carbon dioxide sequestration, but I will be talking with respect to the carbon dioxide that is being already emitted, and then how we can mitigate or otherwise reduce the extent, and then how we can trade off the carbon that is being present in the atmosphere. So there is a huge picture in front of us with respect to global warming. We have been exploiting the Mother Earth in all the ways, and then because of that, around the globe, the warming has been happening, and then those are related to the gases that are being in the atmosphere. So these gases were already being present, as you are well aware of, and then but because of the industrial activity, these gases have been added due to the anthropogenic activity of the mankind, humans, as well as these are there in huge numbers. So that is where the problem, and then these gases retain heat. So that is one such problem, and then their concentration, which is building up inside the environment, is the second problem. So here we will be looking into how to reduce the concentration, and then because of building up of this concentration of these gases, we call normally the greenhouse gases. We all know what are these gases, and then what are their source. So when it comes to source of any of these gases that are there into the atmosphere, either it can be a point source coming from a specific location, or otherwise a non-point source. Non-point source, for a point source, the best example that we can look around is thermal power factory, and then for a non-point source is nothing but a vehicle, or otherwise a truck, or otherwise a bus that is moving from one place to other. So here at a fixed position, the emissions will be out, and then here, as it is mobile, the emissions will be all along the route of that particular transportation system. So as of now, the developing country is also pushing for next level of transportation, public transportation system, in order to reduce all these gases which is coming into the atmosphere, so that we can also bind to the global pacts that India has signed, which we are also responsible, because when it comes to atmosphere, it is all the human are responsible, and it is not restricted within the boundaries, geographical boundaries. So as India is also committed to reduce certain percentage of greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. So these are some of the ways where we could able to invest and then reduce. So global warming and then climate change, again, these are being debated even from our childhood, and then discussed and then found out n number of ways to mitigate global warming as well as to reduce the impact of climate change. So as in one picture, we can say that the increase in surface temperature, which leads to the other consequences. So once the temperature increases on the surface, obviously the hydrological cycle will keep changing. Because of that, you will have droughts as well as a high intensity rainfall at a very short duration of time, which the urban system will not be able to take care. So I will not be doing much, but we know what is the greenhouse effect. And then when it comes to climate change, most of the times climate and weather are more or less confused. So climate on a very global pattern, and then weather on a very short location, and then very for a specific location, and then when it of emitting the greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, the climate has been changing for the past century, and then it has been anticipated in a very recently, that is in the late 1960s. It has been found, and then each of the scientific community put forward in terms of the policymakers, which they were reluctant to accept at the first go. So Rachel Carlson was one such lady. When she published that pesticides was there available in the food, nobody was ready to accept it, because everyone was looking at the quantity or the amount of food that comes onto their plate, or otherwise that they can sell out. So in similar fashion, when initially the scientists came up with respect to the global or otherwise the ozone layer depletion, so the policymakers as well as the industrialists was not ready to change. But as of now, over the years, once it has been documented, proved, makers and then the industrialists go hand on hand in order to save the earth. So everything that has been conveyed with respect to climate change, as well as everything that has been discussed with respect to greenhouse gases, everything is being represented in terms of carbon dioxide. Even the global warming potential, because of the heat retention capacity, carbon dioxide is one such thing that is being represented. And this I will skip it off as I have kept it. Just for your understanding, we all know what is greenhouse gas, and then because of the warming of Earth, and then the retention of some of the rays, or otherwise the holding up of heat inside the Earth layer, which increases the mean surface temperature or the average temperature of the place. And then with respect to the main greenhouse gases, we call it as NOx as well as SOx, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of sulfur. And then apart from that, we also have carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, lead, as well as methane. So these are the gases, mostly oxides of nitrogen and then oxides of sulfur. We all know that in atmosphere we have abundant of nitrogen. So whenever you have a combustion, there are likelihood chances that inside your cylinder you will be having nitrogen in place of oxygen. So you will be releasing most of the oxides of nitrogen first, and then sulfur mainly from the trace amount fossil fuels that we deplete, mainly for the transportation sector. Before, lead and sulfur were there in abundance, but right now the government agencies have restricted in such a way that the sulfur and lead have been removed from the fuel that we add upon. So oxides of sulfur, the trace elements that are there in the fuel will while combusting, that they will yield, or otherwise after the combustion you will get oxides of sulfur. Then ozone. So once you have oxides of nitrogen, again at the ground level, at the early sunrise as well as at the peak noon, you will be having ground level ozone. So here the ozone that we are discussing about is nothing but the ground level ozone, not the stratospheric ozone. So this is harmful at a specific concentration. And chlorofluorocarbons, it's responsible for the ozone depletion, and methane is one such gas that is being as a result of the industrial output. So when it comes to global warming, so one such sector, as I have already said that, so mainly most of the industries, or otherwise most of the industries, or whatever the activity that is being taken care by human mankind, electricity is the predominant thing that it needs to be there. So across the globe, when it comes to electricity, most of the countries are dependent for coal as the primary source of energy in the past decade, or otherwise in the past century. So even if we could able to correlate that, even London was struggling in order to with respect to the air quality during their winter times. So because of the coal, the soot that comes out from the coal-fired power plants during early 1900s, where they're near the concentration source, as well as they were not able to disperse across the place. So they were the people were exposed to higher concentration. So as of now, if you could be able to see that, but they have reduced substantially. So over the years, they have invested in other forms of energy, but still the developing countries as well as the countries in the West, even with respect to the countries which has a huge population across all the continents, it is nothing but China and India, which is expected, are still dependent upon the coal as the primary source of energy. And then it depends upon the quality of coal that emits, that also has the fate onto the matter that gets emitted out from the chimneys. And then as it's all related to the economy, so the countries will go for any extent in order to keep the economy running. So as of now, India and China are the top leading coal consuming nations. If they don't have the proper resource, this is as per the year 2019 or 18 data, where how the countries have bought the coal from other countries, mostly when it comes to Southeast Asia. So Indonesia is one such place where most of the countries get coal from, because of the fact that Indian coals are not, when you burn Indian coal, you end up in high ash content, as well as the sulfur content in Indian coal is very, very high. So you get more amount of carbon dioxide as well as the oxides of sulfur. So as of now, you can just look only with respect to dioxide. And then we also get it from Australia, and then not only we, that is India, other countries also get import coal, they import coal for their purpose. So this is a chart where you can able to see that the projection of with respect to the year 2020, so that is the last year, in spite of the corona pandemic, each of the country was more and more dependent upon the energy, as well as coal was used as a primary source of energy. When it comes to these two continents, or otherwise these two nations, they take the first and second position as like the population, and the other Asian countries come back later on with respect to consumption of coal, and then United States as well as European Union fall back after all these. The rest of the world, the consumption pattern was something around 917 metric tons. So it keeps changing because of the demand that the energy the nation that has onto the environment. So when it comes to the countries in the West, they have been taking substantial efforts in order to reduce the impact, because countries in the West have already developed, and then countries in the East are still developing. So developing countries with respect to India as well as China, they are still there in the developing, and then they are now the workforce for the whole globe. So somehow or the other, from 1980s, the countries in the West have invested in other forms where India and China have not been invested. So countries in the West, they have started declining the usage of coal, and then they are bounded by other treaties as well, international treaties in which they have signed, and then based upon that, it is not that they are more committed to the environment, but at the same time, they have been bounded with legal things. So they have reduced the concentration or the quantity of coal that has been taken for their power production. So with respect to the year 1990 to up to 2020, so the greater the life among the greenhouse gases is nothing but carbon dioxide, and then it is account has increased, otherwise about 80% in the atmosphere. And even if we all know that at the time of pandemic, the whole continents or all the countries were gone under lockdown, but at the same time, this pandemic didn't had any impact onto the overall gas emissions that is being let into the atmosphere. So pandemic didn't had, this is as per the recent report that will be taken in the next week at Glasgow, where conference of parties will meet in order to mitigate, or otherwise find out ways with respect to the technology transfer, otherwise the ways to mitigate the temperature, otherwise the emission of gases into the atmosphere. So the general facts is that 9 out of 10 people get affected with respect to the air pollutions. So again, it is as per the estimate that with respect to WHO standards, it is most of the people who remain indoors are getting more and more exposure when it comes to air pollutants, especially the children, especially the cooking women. But as of now, India could be able to get these two people out from the emissions that is being exposed onto them before 1980s. Most of the women as well as children were exposed to burning of wood, where they get higher concentration of oxides of nitrogen and oxides of sulfur. But as of now, with the help of government agencies as well as the reach with respect to the LPG even inside the rural villages, has made sure that they have not been exposed to some of the emissions onto the atmosphere as well as onto them. So again, one such thing is that when carbon monoxide, which has a very short span of lifetime in its environment, so those can get fixed onto the blood blood of children as well as with respect to the women who are carrying, and then they can because they have a greater affinity than the oxygen uh, than the oxygen. So it is around what to say, once they have the carbon monoxide getting fixed into the blood, so the carrying capacity of the blood reduces, and then you feel deprived of oxygen. At one point of time, you will cause giddiness and dizziness. So when compared to outer environment, indoor environment is also polluted with respect to volatile organics. So we will not be discussing much. So these are statistics which says that air pollutant is one such thing, and then among the air pollutants, carbon dioxide or otherwise is one such a dominant or otherwise long-lived gas which is there in the atmosphere, and then countries are there to finding ways to mitigate them or otherwise to remove from the atmosphere. There are so many protocols which are there. Clean development mechanism has been formulated among the nations in order to trade off the carbons, which we'll be looking now. And then even from all the sectors, or the source with respect to the source of air pollution, with respect to each and every sector, they release or otherwise even whatever the sector, even the kitchen or otherwise the construction or otherwise the steel industry, every industry emits carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and because of that, the global or otherwise the mean average temperature increases. So as stated, why carbon dioxide matters. So why only carbon dioxide? It is the long-living gas, and then which are more abundant. And then water vapor is also have the same heat retaining capacity, but it varies from place to place. So we don't take care into account of that, and then we take care of carbon dioxide as one such thing. And then this carbon dioxide can also react in water because of atmospheric reactions, as well as it can get dissolved onto the water. So even we all know that carbon dioxide are the greatest sinks with respect to carbon dioxide, or otherwise as of now till date, whatsoever the carbon dioxide sequestration techniques are there, the nature is one such greatest sink. And then among nature, first comes the oceans to sequestration of carbon dioxide, or otherwise removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So this carbon dioxide can get fixed into the water, and then they can form carbonic acid, and then at last it can turn the water acidic in nature because of the at last it will remove carbonate. First it will have bicarbonate and then followed by carbonate ions, but at the same time it will make the water acidic in nature. So once the water turns acidic, you will be having a severe impact onto the marine life, that we call it as acidification. So if it is there in the freshwater acidification, we say it as into the different terms. And then when it comes to ocean acidification, it is all with respect to the plants which are there inside the ocean, which we don't see much of. So with respect to carbon dioxide emission, it is not only with respect to from the humans, but also from the natural resources. But again, the concentration matters. So what is the concentration that is available in the atmosphere, and then how it is related to the climate change. So one such simple example that I have said, it is about the ocean acidification because of carbon dioxide getting dissolved into the water. And then carbon sensitivity and climate sensitivity, all it depends upon the concentration at the specific place, as well as the impact on which the greenhouse gas on to the environment it can have. And then most of the nations and most of the agreements are looking with respect to this aspect of how to remove this carbon from the atmosphere. So one such interesting fact is that when President Obama visited India, it was estimated that he will be his lifetime will be reduced 6 hours once he landed, or otherwise once he inhaled, or otherwise during his stay at Delhi when he came at in the year 2014 or 15. So this was the extent in which the air pollution can cause impact onto an individual's life, but normally we don't do this kind of permutation and combination for the human common man. But as he was president of United States of America, the calculation was done, and then it was estimated that 6 hours of his lifetime will get reduced because of its exposure, or otherwise because of the bad weather that we Indians have or at Delhi. So, as this is one more interesting fact is that the carbon dioxide, the natural sinks are nothing but the oceans followed by the forests. So that is where we keep emphasizing on the square kilometers of the forest area or the cover needs to be increased. But the major source of sink as of now, as on today, is nothing but oceans. So the Interpanel Government for Climate Change in the year 2014 estimated that carbon dioxide, though with respect to all the greenhouse gases that are there in the atmosphere, so the global emissions accounts around 76% with respect to carbon dioxide alone. So either it can be from the forestry as well as from the other land use patterns, agricultural, or otherwise because of the use of fossil fuels and industrial process. So you can able to see that around 75% is being in the atmosphere is being dominated only because of by the carbon dioxide. And then when it comes to the usage, or otherwise when it comes to the depletion of fossil fuels, and then China followed by US followed by European Union and India are the top 5 countries, or otherwise you can say the top 5 lead countries where they were dependent have changed, and then there is some slight change in this order. And this is one such a familiar chart when we, as we all know that the 76% or otherwise 75% is nothing but carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is being monitored regularly, and then when it crossed 400 ppm in the atmospheric level, so it crossed in the year somewhere around late 2010s, but in the very quickly it attained above 413 ppm. And then this is nothing but it started way back in the year 1958 by one professor named Dr. Killing, and then this curve is nothing but we also call it as Killing's curve. So it starts. He started his research in Mauna Island in the year 1958, and then across from 1959. So they have been monitoring the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and then right now it is pegged at 413 or between 413 to 415 ppm. And then this you will not have a very smooth curve when you look at this graph. It is nothing but a zigzag pattern where because of the seasonal changes, the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere also changes. This is for your information, because the northern hemisphere has more and more amount of land when it comes to southern hemisphere, and then southern hemisphere is more the seasonal changes where because of the spring, and then as well as because of the dry season where the leaves gets off, so you add up carbon dioxide, and then when there is a seasoning time where they bloom like anything, so they take some amount of the interesting fact about 2021 with respect to India is we will be having more and more amount of climate change, which is evident. Again, this is one such point where it has been discussed in brief that just a minute. Though the East Asian countries, they don't contribute much to the industrial revolution, but still they are also part of the climate change, or otherwise the global warming. So heat waves as well as the monsoons will fluctuate, and then you will be having a very high chances of very high drought followed by a very high intense rainfall where you will not be able to capture all of those. So these are now evident at our country. Even if you could able to imagine that Uttarakhand flash floods, as well as flash floods in Chennai very recently, or otherwise the flash floods that is happening, or otherwise the high intense rainfall that is happening in the state of Kerala. where the Kerala itself is not in a position to handle that much intense of rainfall within a short span of time. So the interesting fact that needs to be noted down with respect to the recommendations are heavy precipitation will increase over much of Asia. So this is what we can able to easily correlate heavy average and heavy precipitation. Heavy precipitation in terms of rainfall, which with a high confidence level, and then glaciers will soon melt. So that means that the perennial rivers in the northern part of India will soon get depleted. Otherwise, the snow will melt in such a rate that the rivers will no longer be called, or otherwise in the later part of the century, the rivers will be no longer called as perennial rivers. So, and then because of this global warming, you have this high rise in the sea levels as well because of the melting glaciers, not only with respect to the southern hemisphere, but mostly this happens in the northern hemisphere where much of the ice caps are there. So, with this backdrop, so this IPCC has picked that until unless we need, if it goes beyond this 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius increase in average mean level temperature, it will be very difficult for us to cope. So until unless we do some measures, so what are those measures is now the question, and then we will be looking at those, and then in order to reduce this, so it is not only with respect to global warming, but also it reflects into the individual's health performance as well, because air pollutants are much more toxic, and then we are keep on being exposed to them. And then in order to keep, so though the numbers are very sharp, or otherwise it looks very achievable, but in order to achieve that, we need to take around 45% of the carbon dioxide, which is there already in the atmosphere, for 2030. So that is in the span of 9 years, we need to remove around 45% of the carbon dioxide, either by carbon dioxide sequestration, or by carbon trade-off, or otherwise by circular economy approaches, or otherwise by having a very high or otherwise very quality technology aspect in such that the emission of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere will itself will come down. Coupled with, so at the same time, in order to meet the energy demands, or in order to make sure that the energy demands gets matched with respect to the country's need, so alternative energy or the money should also be pumped into the renewable energy in order to take care of the amount of energy that will come, or otherwise that will not be coming from the fossil fuels. Otherwise, 70 to 80% of the energy that you need to start investing, either it can be in the forms of hydro, or otherwise it can be in the form of wind energy, it can be in the form of geothermal, it can be in the form of tidal. So countries are being pushed to their limits so that they will go for the alternatives. So even if you look at, there is a huge craze with respect to the electric vehicles, though again, the main point of source for the electricity is again back from the thermal fired power plants. So again, these numbers are very hard to achieve, but still agencies as well as the countries have made a resolution in order to adopt the alternative and then move on. So as I have said that the countries have come forward, it is all because of this sustainable goals that have been put forward by the United Nations. For these are 17 goals in front of, not only with respect to the developing or developed countries, with respect to all the countries. And then if you could able to attain all these 17s, or otherwise you able to relatively score among all these 17s, then you will be having a very good environment. So mainly, whatever that we have discussed, even with respect to the carbon dioxide release and then everything, or otherwise the amount of pollution that is being there, those are being related to the points which are there from 7 to 17. So those 10 are directly related to the atmosphere, or otherwise the earth that we live in. So even starting from the affordable clean energy, whether the countries are being pushed towards that, decent work and economic growth. Economic growth is coupled with respect to the energy demand of that particular nation. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure, because infrastructure, innovation, as well as industry and infrastructure is one such thing which needs so much amount of fossil fuels in order to, because of that, the economic will spur. And then reduced inequalities. If you have the industry in place, then you will be having the subsequent reduction in inequalities. And then if you maintain all 7, 8, 9, then you will be having a sustainable cities where you will be having the trade-off between of the public transport system and reduction in personal transport system. One such common example is in a place like Delhi, where much of the roads are big wider, and then but still government has gone to a certain extent or to a maximum extent to lay off DMRC, that is nothing but Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, so that they can remove or otherwise they can reduce that much amount of pollution from the skies of Delhi. Responsible consumption and production. So this is one such aspect that all the countries are as of now looking forward. So how can we incorporate this circular approach to most of the things that, or otherwise the problems that is there in front of them. So all these are related, again, the industry, the innovation, as well as the infrastructure are related to the climate of that place, or otherwise the weather of that place. That is point number one. And then as you can also ask how these goals are related, life below water and life on land. Life on land is nothing but, as I gave the example with respect to the pollution source, that you can get it near the ground surface, and then life below water, as the more and more amount of carbon dioxide is there in the atmosphere, more and more amount of it will get dissolved, so that you will be having carbonic acid in your water, hydrogen ion will get released, and then so it is not only with respect to, you need to have a global perspective, or otherwise a bigger perspective, in order to deal the problem that is in front of us. And then partnership for the goals. So this is one such thing. Partnership as well as a strong communication between the nations is one such thing, or otherwise the key to solve all these problems. And then in order to solve all these problems, it needs a great amount of time as well as huge money for inculcating all these in order to reach it to every walks of life of that person. So with this backdrop, I will be quickly moving on to some facts that with respect to Indian case. So as I have been already saying that predominantly, or otherwise India as a country, the developing country, which is pushing hard for its economic growth across all the sectors, and then government is pushing for economic growth across all the regions of India. So coal is the primary source, or the out of 100%, coal is about to be 51%, and then lignite comes out to be 1.7, and then gas and diesel comes out to be at a very, so the total fossil fuel itself comes out to be 60% of the total that we need. So the other resources, it comes from hydro around 37.9, and then wind, solar, and other renewable sources of energy accounts for 26.1. Nuclear for a country like India. So again, nuclear, there are positives as well as disadvantages of that, but we will not go in 1.7, and then the total non fossil fuel dependency is something around, for a country like India, is around 39.8. So if you look at it, so where we stand, and then where how much long that we need to go is the matter of question. So when it comes to that the parties that they are going to meet in Glasgow in the next week, so it is all about the carbon market and then how we are going to achieve it. So the trade-off with respect to the carbon dioxide that is there in the environment is the main question, and then how are we going to achieve? Otherwise, how are we going to reduce? So even in the last yesterday's session, where Dr. Dinesh sir was speaking about the reduction in Arctic, the ice, or there is a melting of snow, it's all related to the global warming. But again, in today's session, again, the carbon dioxide sequestration. So the here, what I'm speaking about is that in order to sit and decide, or otherwise design in such a way that the quantity of concentration that comes out from a specific industry itself should be reduced, otherwise scaled down. Then you will be having less carbon dioxide onto the atmosphere, and then dealing that itself will take not enormous amount of time as well as energy as well as money, but still we will be able to in a position to have a big hold, or otherwise a good hold onto the carbon dioxide concentration. So there comes the concept of carbon neutrality, otherwise making it carbon neutral, how much we can able to pull down. There is one more concept, that net zero carbon release. So net zero carbon release is that no, not even a 0.1, this 0.1 milligram per liter of carbon dioxide will not be there or parts per million of concentration of carbon dioxide will not be let out to the environment. But carbon neutrality is that you will be allowing carbon out to the environment, that is, but at a very, 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 very less concentration when compared to the concentration that is prevalent at present. So if the concentration that is coming out from the thermal power plant is something around 100 ppm, but now if we could able to adopt these approaches and then sit and design efficient or otherwise come with the efficient way in design, so that the carbon can be reduced to a level of around 50 ppm or 40 ppm, will help a lot with respect to the country's economic growth as well as the global aspect. So in order to achieve carbon neutrality as well as with respect to the net zero levels or net zero levels, the circular economy comes into picture. Circular economy is nothing but it is a circular approach where I will, in the next slide, I will brief you about that. You will be having a cycle that will be kept on in a closed loop. So you will not be having an open loop where you will be exposed, or otherwise more amount of dead ends will be there, and then more and more amount of concentration will come out from each of the process. So India, which is also a developing country, has also pegged in that it will reduce, otherwise whatever that it has targeted, that it will be removing 33% of carbon emission from the atmosphere by the year 2030. So that is nothing but within 9 span of years, we need to reduce around 33% of carbon dioxide emission. And massive scale, we need to push for a renewable source of energy and then everything. So this all started with Paris in the year 2015, where the Conference of Parties met. So this is now the 26th session in which they are meeting. So this was in the year, this is nothing but the 21st now, as of now. The next week that is going to happen, it is nothing but the 26th. And then it is to, all the countries came forward to make sure that the global temperature, average temperature will not go beyond 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels. So this is one such thing where all the nations come forward, they combine in such a way that they, they agree to reduce the levels. That is one such thing. And then they had how to mitigate them is nothing but a 5-year cycle. So again, here, the one such thing is that it's a closed loop. So you will not be allowed to move out of that loop. And then there are actions or otherwise stiff targets with respect to this closed loops. And then countries are being asked to move on from the coal to the new forms of energy. So with respect to the closed loop, again, there is a committee which has been formulated with respect to the United Nations, and then they have long-term low greenhouse gas emission development strategies, that is nothing but LTLEDs, that will assist the developing country financially, technically, and then it will also build the capacity building with respect to the concentration that is being let out to the environment. So that is one such thing that is more important. As of now, the capacity building as well as the technical and financial aspects are not being well managed in a country like developing countries. It is being well documented, or otherwise the countries are well bound to what they need to emit out from into the atmosphere. So the main thing is that zero carbon solution. So the LTLEDs, though they have the 5-year cycle, so every 5 years they will keep on reviewing, altering, and then they will come up with a new design where they will be pitching it for zero carbon solutions in terms of the sectors such as power and transport. Across the globe, power and transport are the two sectors which demand more and more dependency on towards the fossil fuels. And then as of now, you know that India has moved on from Bharat stage 4 to Bharat stage 6 in order to have a that is a source of energy, not that is more towards the electric automobiles as well as solar rooftop panels. And then even when you correlate with respect to the Indian conditions, all the three which we have listed, government is pushing its league. And then when it comes to railway, which is the biggest transportation system that is prevalent, one of the biggest transportation system in the world. So it simply commutes the whole of Australia in one single day. That is pre-COVID times. As of now, I don't know the statistics. It might be less. So government itself this is also one such thing, or otherwise the one such result of this agreement, where the government is still pushing for 100% electrification across its routes. So that means that there will be no diesel sections. They will be drawing the electricity from the grid itself. So now coming with the overall picture that as reducing or otherwise removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere is not as simple as it is being taught, or otherwise as it is being uh, taught in our mind, or otherwise uh, it is linked to financial commitments, it is linked to the livelihood of a person, it is linked to the sustainability, it is linked to the environment at a specific place. So when you inculcate all these things, when you incorporate all these things, this circular carbon economy approach comes into picture. We call it as, in simple terms, we call it as CCE. So this is nothing but use of raw materials to a very minimalistic extent. So assume that once the raw material goes into a specific product, again once the product after its lifetime is over, so you don't discard it from the environment, but again make use of that and then get it, make sure that it goes as a raw material, at least for not for the same product but for the other product, so that the raw materials can be saved to a certain extent, so that the carbon that is being put out into the environment comes down. And then this circular economy, in this sense, it keeps using the resources, that is nothing but the natural resources, again and again. So it can be any product that is being, once it enters into the uh, environment, it stays in the environment and then it is not discarded as such. So this circular economy involves 4 R's, that is nothing but reduce at the source of excavation, and then reuse to the maximum extent once the product is being out into the environment, recycle to the maximum extent it is there in the environment, and remove until unless it is needed. Otherwise, you can remove some of the residues, and then again you can put forward for recycling, or otherwise for reuse, or otherwise reduce the quantity of waste that gets from into the environment. So, so this is one such thing. That as per the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, this is one such foundation that keeps working across all domains of industries, and then they predict what is how this circular economy approaches will change each and every facet of that industry. So one such study that they have come out is that, so moving towards the renewables can address around 55% of the global greenhouse gas emissions, so that all the countries across the globe can stick to the UN climate goals, and then the countries will be asked to tackle only the remaining 45%. So it is at around 55% will be taken care. If you push towards the recyclables, then only the countries needs to deal about the 45%, which will not be a big issue. So the key objectives are, so the one such thing is that from the system. So you need to design in such a way that, or otherwise you need to put forward in such a way that the waste should not come from the system, or otherwise it should not leave from the system. It should be inculcated in one or the other forms back into the environment. That is point number one. And then keep products and materials to its maximum usage. So even if you could be able to correlate with respect to the government policy, government has banned the single-use plastics because of its limited use. So normally the carry bag that we take it has its lifetime something around in seconds, so maximum of 30 seconds. So keep the products and then as well as the material that you extract from the earth to its maximum potential. That is one such thing. And then regenerate the natural system by reducing the intake from the environment. There is a greater chance of regenerating the natural system, so thereby reducing the impact onto the environment. And redefine growth, because of you design a system which which replaces part of the virgin material with respect to the recycled material, or otherwise the waste material. So you redefine the economy as well as the growth, and then you also inculcate or otherwise you maximize the societal benefits, because the society gets into it and then start practicing it, and once it starts practicing it, it will automatically yield the results, and then there will be less pollutant into the environment, as well as the approach will be getting maximized. And then check for finite resources. This will also have a check onto the environment, what is the available resources, and then what is the leftover materials that is there for the future, and how to manage it is one such task that you will be again asked to design at the first step itself. moving towards renewable sources. This is one such thing each and every country is going, even with respect to tidal, wind. Even India has a very recent policy with respect to the amount of solar capacity across India. Still, the solar power panels, be it the monocrystalline or polycrystalline, are not fully evolved. And then the capacity is something around hovering between 25 to 30. But still, the government agencies are pushing for the renewables in order to have, or otherwise they inculcate these renewables from the grassroots level. So by giving subsidies to the farmers so that they can be less dependent upon diesel as a source for their livelihood. The diesel can be used for motors for drawing water, because India is mostly dependent of groundwater for its agricultural purpose. So in that way, government is reducing the pollution from the grassroots level. So this is also one such approach towards reaching the United goals. So sustainable environment, by reaching the grassroots level, you will be having a social change, economical change, as well as the natural change. So nature at that place can be protected, and then the economy will also move on in a different dimension by inculcating all these things. And then societal change, the perception differs. So instead of over the period of time, once the subsidy is over, or otherwise once you get more and more amount of power from the solar power panels, you can again get back to the grid, and then the concerned electricity boards will pay back to the farmers. These approaches will also be inculcated, and then all the approaches of this circular economy are being mimicked from the mother earth, so otherwise the nature. So nature doesn't leave any trace as such as a waste. So even if you take any of the natural process, once inputs is once output is the input of others. So this is a way, or this concept is also known as biomimicking. Bio is nothing but the nature's mimicking, biological mimicking. So where this concept is being taken and then adopted into the industries in order to reduce the waste in such a way that we can safeguard the finite resources and then for an infinite time. So when it comes to the approach, how to get incorporated. So this has been, as we also saw that, this has been done in two different approaches. One is the linear approach, which in the past century, much of the nations were doing. And then now with the countries, as we are depriving of the natural resources, the countries are slowly moving towards the circular economy. So here the linear economy is something like a straight line where you have the raw materials, and then you produce any good, any commodity, and then you have a non-recyclable waste at the end of the pyramid, or otherwise end of the chain. Whereas in the reuse economy, so which had a very short span of time, so here you recycle the material, or otherwise the waste that comes out at the end of the chain. Whereas at the circular economy, you make sure that the quantity maximum extent. So where the waste, once the product is there, the waste can be taken, or the product can be taken again back, and then it can be again put back into the environment in one or the other form. So this is one such pictorial representation where you can able to visualize that the approaches with respect to linear as well as with respect to the circular economy. So here the linear economy is that, so you prepare a product, it gets transported, and then it reaches the customer, and then the product again ends up as a waste. But in the circular economy, it has so many circles in such a way that each and every component of it will be given as an input in one or the other form to the other purpose. So you recycle a product in a maximum way, or otherwise you reuse a product, otherwise you remodify the project so that it suits the other vendor. So in such a way that you can able to have the energy efficiency, as well as once you have the energy efficiency in place, or otherwise the energy that is consumed, again you are dependent upon fossil fuels, and then the energy efficiency also brings down the concentration of these gases into the atmosphere. So this is one such pictorial representation where you can able to look at the number of scientific communities are working since 2005, where in the area of circular economy, and then more and more focus has been now given to this aspect of how to incorporate the waste and then getting back into the environment in one or the other forms, thereby reducing the raw materials to a greater extent. So This approach, normally this approach is all behind this 4R plan, that is nothing but reduce, reuse, recycle, and then recover. So recover the essential items, or otherwise the materials that can be coming out from the waste, and then reduce the waste at the source itself, reuse the waste at the maximum, and recycle it to the maximum possible extent. So as this has been put forward in the same thing, reduce the waste at the doorstep, or otherwise at the place of generation, at the plant itself. You need to make sure, or otherwise design in such a way that the reduce aspect needs to be there at the doorstep. So you prevent the waste generation, that is one such thing. And then you move on with respect to the preparation of reuse, how the material, once it is back into the environment, can be reused to its maximum potential. So even the plastic bottles, even the plastic bottle that is being used normally for drinking purpose, even if you are a frequent traveler in railways, so you will be, the rack pickers will be targeting the water bottles once the train enters the cosmopolitan city or town or anywhere. So that is being given the output, or otherwise the waste is being considered as an input to the other. And but in Indian case, we as an Indian mentality, we keep using the water bottles, though it has been prescribed to crush after single use. So most of the materials that is being used in Indian thing, some 70% of the plastics that we use are of virgin materials, and then 30% is something, or otherwise 70 to 80% is virgin material, and then the remaining percentage is nothing but the recycled material. Still, India is still using the virgin material. So if you look about the plastics nature, it's all about the hydrocarbons. So we will be coming back to that. And recycling to the maximum extent, Indians are very good about it, but still the efficiency needs to be uh, 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 inculcated in all the, across all the spectrums of the industrial activities, so that the concentration of the carbon dioxide will come down. So though once you reduce, or otherwise when you reuse or recycle to a maximum extent, you can also recover some amount of energy, or otherwise the material from the waste, and then you can dispose those waste where you require a huge land. Once you do all these 4 Rs, then you will be requiring a very less amount of space for landfilling alone. Or otherwise, once you incinerate, you will be ending up with very less amount or quantity of waste at the end of the cycle. So this all involves about this approach is all upon the design that we do onto the table, on the table, so that you can eliminate the just a minute. So eliminate the waste. So once you eliminate the waste, then you also eliminate the pollution aspect, be it the solid waste that you generate, as well as the waste, whatsoever the waste. Because waste in the sense that the product, because once for manufacturing the product also, you are dependent upon the fossil fuels, the subsequent amount of energy that goes in. So everything, it needs to be accounted for. It is not only the product that comes out from the chain will be accounted for. And then circulate product and material. So whatever the material as well as the product that you can make use of the waste should be circulated back into the environment, and then regenerate nature. Regenerate nature in the sense that by circulating back, you are saving some amount of raw material from the mother earth, so that you are regenerating it, and then otherwise you are letting it for the future. So circular economy approach, again from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So both the three countries, that is nothing but Europe as well as India and China, could reduce around 22 to 44% in 2050 when you move. So this study also said that at the current state, if these are the main pillars for any nation, that is nothing but the steel amount of required, the aluminum sector, the plastic sector, and cement. Cement is for infrastructure, aluminum, steel, and plastics for the other things. So if this circular economy approach has been adopted, that is nothing but elimination of waste, and then using the waste as a product or material for the other process, and then the amount of raw material that goes in can be reduced, around 40% of this can be credited, or otherwise the 40% of the emissions can be reduced from these countries onto the atmosphere. So the main two aspects that you need to think about is nothing but one such thing is that eliminate waste and then the pollution. So once you need to eliminate the waste, so that you need to think about the design aspects of that product, as well as the circularity inside the environment. How much maximum level that you can able to circulate the product into, or otherwise the commodity back into the environment in one or the other forms, will give you reduction on in the atmosphere. So methodology, so this is one such methodology. There are different methodologies to evaluate its lifespan of a product, or otherwise to estimate what would be the impact or the footprint that even in the yesterday's session where Dr. Dinesh was speaking about the footprint of a specific individual, you can also determine with respect to a specific individual for a specific product. We are now in a position to calculate all those, and then you can again sit back, design an efficient system, keep modifying it in order to reduce the waste as much as possible. So selection of sector, it can be a construction sector, it can be a manufacturing sector, it can be any sector. All the sector needs energy as a predominant source. Once you need to burn coal or otherwise the other forms of energy. Once you burn the fossil fuels, automatically you will be ending about the greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And then identification of potential circular economic actions. So what can be done at the level, in industry level or otherwise at the ground level, is one such question that needs to be asked in front of before the product or otherwise the design aspects gets finalized. So assessment of circular economic actions, impacts on material demand and relevant emission sources. So you can put forward by doing the assertion or otherwise by doing the calculation with respect to some of the approaches that we will be looking how to evaluate the carbon footprint as well as the carbon emissions onto the atmosphere. You will be able to arrive at how much we can save for the future, otherwise how much still we need, otherwise how much we are reducing from the atmosphere. So where the life cycle analysis helps us to know in a better sense, or otherwise to have an upper hand when it comes to reduction, or otherwise to in order for the carbon trade that happens between countries to countries or industry to industry. And quantification of circular economic actions, impact on greenhouse gas emissions along the value chain. So along the value chain is nothing but not only with respect to the product that has been made, but along its value chain, along its path of travel in the environment can also be tracked and then can also be accounted for. So upscaling impacts to the full sector. So once you know how this behaves all along the environment, you can able to upscale, or otherwise you can also increase the reuse aspect, so that you will be in a position, and then also you can also have the sensitive areas where you can relook only into that specific area to incorporate any changes which will give a better result in the environment. And then linking results to emissions and reporting categories. All these are related to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And then at last you will be ending up there either in a better living circumstances or otherwise a suitable living community, clean environment or clean water or clean air. So this is a chain of events. Previously we have listed it down, and then now if you look at it, so there are different compartments. So one such thing is that socio-cultural, so where the participants involved because they are the one who change everything, and then technological aspect that comes into picture in order to reduce the impact of them onto the environment. Economics, so every product or otherwise every initiative that is being done is part of some cost that is being added onto the product. It needs some money to come or otherwise arrive at a research needs to be carried out in order to come out with some recommendation to the policymakers so that the environment will have its final say. So the policy approach, it all depends upon the perception. Either it can be at the global level or otherwise at the local level. Global level, it can be a Kyoto Protocol or Monterey Protocol or otherwise like a Paris Agreement, where the policy will influence the concerned parties to look after the environment on their own. So one such example where we can see how this life cycle or otherwise a circular approach will have its say onto the environment is such that, so let us take the plastics. Plastic is one such thing that is being used on our daily life in all aspects. So on the different forms, different names, be it low density polyethylene, high density polyethylene, polystyrene, polyethylene, everything. So these are being these are nothing but the byproduct of crude oil industry. You get it, you manufacture it, you first form a pellet, and then you make it as a preform. Preform is nothing but what are the shape, because you will not be able to transport preform to all the places. So most of the industries will get small spherical cylinders or otherwise spherical shape pellets, where they will be, it will be easy for them to transport, and then according to their size and shape they will be remodifying it. And then the bottle, whichever the bottle size shape, they can make it. And then the finished goods, either it can be a tonic bottle or otherwise a water bottle or otherwise a Pepsi or Coke or any bottle that comes into that. So all again, it all involves from this stage extraction of raw materials to the finished good. It involves so much amount of energy that goes in the product, the concentration, transportation, everything happens. And then once this goods is being used, and then it is taken back as a recyclable material. So one such thing, it is reused for a certain extent, so its lifetime is increased. So after reuse, again it is being discarded into the environment, and then again it gets recycled in one or the other forms. Again these water bottles are being broken down, and then they are again incorporated or otherwise manufactured as a industry. We call it as virgin material. Once this recyclable material gets mixed with respect to the virgin material, we call it as recycled flake or otherwise a composite or otherwise a green material, where you substantially reduce the virgin material that goes into the product. So plastic consumption still we are lagging, but at the same time, India will pick up its place. Now it is the 2014 data, but it has been estimated by this year we will be touching 20 kilograms of plastics per person. That is as a usage. So when it comes to plastics, this circular economy approach is well suited, where this plastics has been remodified, reused in different aspects or different walks of life. And then we will be amazed to know that the plastic bottle that we throw comes back to us in one or the other forms. So this is again the same representation what we have discussed. So this, once you make the pellets, either it can be used for films for the cars and everything, or otherwise it can be used as polyester material, and then it can come onto your cloths, or otherwise the shoes that you wear, the fibers that is being added onto the shoes or the soles that is being made is mostly made of this recycled materials, or otherwise the waste that is being generated in the environment. And then again, a water bottle of very low quality can be made, in which the purpose can be different rather than drinking water. So in that sense, so this is nothing but a PET bottle. PET is nothing but polyethylene terephthalate, and then there are different forms, and then different numbers that are being given to the plastic itself, where you can able to store water, where you are not asked to store water. So there are issues by adopting this circular economic approaches. It has been given a successful yield when it comes to this approach. So these fibers are being used as a material for wearing. No one would think about that, but still this circular economic approach has reduced the impact of extracting the raw materials. At the same time, it has also led to the increase in dependency of the plastics, that is the virgin material. That is on the other side, it has increased, but at the same time, it has again channelized those materials back into the environment in one or the other forms. And then extending its lifetime is one such thing, where if you extend the lifetime of a product, automatically the impact onto the environment that will come down. So these are some of the success stories where these recycled materials that are being taken out from the oceans. Oceans are being considered as one such a big dump yard, which we are not seeing on a regular basis, and then it is being considered waste that goes that, especially with respect to the plastic waste that goes into the oceans. And then the waste that comes being taken out is being used in one or the other form. So this can be done. This is one more example of adopting the circular economic approach, whereby you are increasing the product's lifetime. At the same time, you are making sure that the product's shape changes, the characteristics change, as well as the purpose also changes when it is there in the environment. But when you adopt the linear economic approach, the product's purpose is one, and then it will not be able to suit for the different purpose or the other purpose which you require for. So we have looked about the global perspectives, but initiatives are also being done with respect to circular economic approaches in one or the other form. And then this is one such industry which is located in Maharashtra, especially in Mumbai, where they collect the waste and then they make products out of it. They collect the waste, especially the PET bottles, from the environment. They break it up, they clean it up, and then they produce chips, and then they form products which will again come back into the environment for a different purpose. So once you have a bottle, you drink it, you throw it, but again it comes as a different material into the environment for our usage. So in that sense, the new product that comes out from the recycled material, in one way you save the raw materials, on the other way you reduce the impact onto the environment. So again, not only the private agencies, even the government is also mulling its back, or is pushing all the sectors to look for the 4R concept, or otherwise the circular economic concept, wherein they can adopt and then evolve and then design in such a way that it can yield better results for the society as well as for the economy. And then there are provisions. The policymakers have also thought about it, how to incorporate all these things. And then we have policy guidelines of recycling plastics. Once you recycle the plastics, whether it can be used for food packaging or it can be used for other purposes. What is the guidelines it says? So we have evolved in such a way that regulations are there, so that each and every country can look on its own in order to mitigate the impact onto the environment. So one such thing is that it is not all about planting trees or otherwise talking about the earth thing, but also recycling as well as adopting this 4R concept will also help us to reduce the impact onto the environment. So if you look at the key objectives, so it involves the economics that goes into the product, because you need to have one set of society where they need to be there in order to pick up the output, the waste from the society, and then give it back in one or the other form back into the environment. And then the policy regulations also helps the society in such a way that it creates awareness, and then it also regulates the design as well as the industry that is dependent on that. So it is a win-win situation for all the 5 sectors, and then at last environment prevails. So it is not about discarding the waste, it is about how the waste it can be taken again back into the environment. So so this image gives us a brief overview about how we can increase the efficiency, or otherwise how we can get back different products back into the environment, and then thereby we can reduce the impact of not letting the carbon dioxide emission back into the environment. So some of the way forward is that this position, whatever that we have talked with respect to Paris Agreement or otherwise Montreal or otherwise Kyoto Protocol, it is not it has not come overnight. We have come across a long way, starting from Montreal, starting from Richard Carlson in the year 1964, and then getting an accord with respect to the countries across the globe is one such thing, and then mitigating and then coordinating is a very big task. And then we need to move forward in order to reduce the, otherwise in order to not to make sure that we touch that 2 degrees Celsius. So there are simulations of increasing to 4 degrees Celsius, and then how to make it forward. So one such thing is that in order to have this approach, or otherwise in order to climb the ladder, in order to have a better society with respect to sustainable as well as the green economy, you need to adopt a circular economic approach, wherein by you can but incorporating the life cycle assessment of a product, which will give an economic design, or otherwise the eco design. Again, that will also increase the efficiency of the products. Also, it will also give the producer responsibility, as well as it will also inculcate the habit of recycling the product to its maximum extent, and then having a database. That is one such thing, the capacity building that we were discussing about long time back. So the value chain, it keeps increasing among the consumers, and then other industries will also take part into it, because different industries will have a different needs onto a specific place, thereby reducing its impact onto the environment. So this is how the approach of life cycle assessment is. So once you have a goal of, say, assume that you have a goal of reducing the carbon dioxide emission, it is not that you are shutting everything off and then sitting idle. You need products, you need energy for your survival, but at the same rate, how are you going to achieve that goal? So you are going to use at one end, and then, but at the same rate, you are going to save the environment. So for that, you need much of capacity building. That is nothing but the data that needs to be there, and then assess the data, and then arrive at to its maximum potential. Plan it in such a way that you can able to maximize it to the public, and then the policy people will help you to reach create the awareness and then market it. And then once the product gets back as a waste, again you can know what is the concentration, and then again it can be pulled back into the environment. So all these things needs quite large amount of research at the backdrop in order to put back, or otherwise restrict the usage, or otherwise restrict the usage of a product, or otherwise the emission onto the environment. So at last, in a different scale, you have a pollution reduction. So that means that the carbon dioxide that comes out will get down. The cost is saving. Again, once the cost you save, that also has the purchasing power will be more, and then you will be having some more products into you, but at the same time you will be having the pollution reduction for that as well. So enhanced public image of that personal locality, or otherwise at the country. Regulatory competitive edge, in the sense that the industry as well as the government agency will go hand in hand, where the win-win situation will be there for the stakeholders. That is nothing but the environment as well as the people who are there. Revenue generation with respect to the waste, how you evolve, how the kabadiwalas will get more, how they generate the waste is one such thing, and then how they take the waste and then regenerate and then get back, or otherwise turn back the amount money back into the environment is one such thing. So all it involves a big overview or holistic view in order to adopt it, and then countries are large scale industries are looking back because of the ban of single-use plastic, or otherwise the polythene bags of less than 100 micron. All these have a severe impact onto the industrialist, and then they find different ways to mitigate on one end the environment, the impact onto the environment, but at the same time to make sure that how the waste again gets back into the system. So I have been closely associated with some of the industries in the past where they had substantial efforts to reduce the impact by thereby recycling the product, and then saving the virgin material, thereby by doing a life cycle analysis, or otherwise energy analysis, how much energy that the product needs for its lifetime experience in the environment. So all these things approaches will make the environment sustainable, which will also lift the status of that group of people who are involved. And then at last, the main thing that will be regained is nothing but the nature. So at last, the nature will have its final say, thereby you can have the finite resources as a check, and then you can still optimally utilize the waste that is there in the environment, and then make use of it to its full potential. So with this, I will stop.